The Great Plains Radio Theater Project presents 1984. This radio adaptation, written by Milton Wayne of the George Orwell classic novel, was originally performed on August 27th, 1949, by David Niven and broadcast on the NBC University Theater.
London are striking 13 on this cold April day. You hurry to escape the vile wind. You slip quickly through the glass doors of Victory Mansion. But not quickly enough to prevent a swirl of gritty dust from entering along with you. The hallway smells of boiled cabbage and old rag mats. At one end of it, an enormous colored poster with a man's face more than 3 feet wide. The face, a ruggedly handsome 45 with a heavy black mustache.
Big Brother is watching you.
What's that?
Oh, no need to jump like that, Mr. Smith. I was just reading off what it says on that poster.
Oh, of course.
7 flights up your flat makes slow going for you. Winston Smith, frail and underweight, and 39, and tormented by a varicose ulcer outside your right ankle. You have to rest several times along the way. On each landing, the poster with the enormous face looks down on you, and the eyes follow you.
Big Brother is watching you.
Everywhere.
Big Brother is watching you.
From every wall, from every building, Big Brother is watching you. You're in your flat, but you're not alone. You are never alone.
That total production of pig iron is 58,328,000 tons.
The voice comes from an oblong metal plaque, like a dull mirror that forms the surface of the right-hand wall. You turn on a switch and the voice sinks somewhat. But there is no way of shutting it off completely. The telescreen receives and transmits simultaneously. So long as you are in its field of vision, you can be seen as well as heard. And there is no way of knowing when the thought police might tie in on your wire. There is no way of knowing. You move over to the window.
War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength.
You stand at your window and look down and think with a vague distaste.
This is London. This the chief city of Airstrip 1, the third most populous of the provinces of Oceania. Was it always like this? Always these rotting houses, their windows patched with cardboard, their roofs of corrugated iron, their crazy garden walls sagging in all directions? Was it always? Why, when I was a child, but I can't remember. I can't remember. I never can.
You turn quickly from the window and go to the table in the small alcove where you are cut off from being seen by the telescreen. Quickly, you take the secretly bought notebook, the archaic pen point and holder out of the drawer. What you are about to do could mean death.
It is not illegal to keep a diary. Nothing is illegal since there are no more laws. But if the thought police find out, it's death. Or at least 25 years in a forced labor camp.
You ink the pen, and you falter for just a second. A tremor goes through you.
I must start. I must mark the paper. April 4th, 1984. But how do I know? How can I be certain that it is 1984? No, it must be. I'm fairly sure that I'm 39, and I believe I was born in 1944 or 45. But it's never possible nowadays to pin down any date within a year or two. Oh, but what difference does it make? How can I speak to the future? If it is like the present, no one will listen. If it is different, how would they understand what is happening now? I mustn't think about it. I must begin now. April 4th, last night to the flicks. All war films, one of the ships of the refugees being bombed somewhere in the Mediterranean. Audience much amused by the shot of a helicopter firing at a man swimming away. He was full of holes. The sea around him turned pink. The audience shouting with laughter when he sank. And then you saw a lifeboat full of children with a helicopter over it.
You write on, wildly ridding your mind of a painful memory. But as you write, another memory comes clearly into your mind. It happened during the 2-minute hate period at the ministry that very morning. After the chant of loyalty to Big Brother, Winston Smith noticed O'Brien, the big man wearing glasses and the black overalls of the powerful inner party. That morning, O'Brien turned and his eyes met Winston's. Winston knew that O'Brien was thinking the same thing as himself. It was as if O'Brien was saying,
I am with you. I know all about you. Your contempt, your hatred, your disgust. But don't worry. I'm on your side.
Then O'Brien's face was as inscrutable as everybody else's. But even that was a memorable event in the locked loneliness in which one had to live.
Down with Big Brother. Down with Big Brother. Down with Big Brother. I'll fill the pages of the whole book. Makes no difference now. The thought police will get me just the same. Even if I never put the pen to paper, I have committed thought crime. And for that, they're bound to get you. Sooner or later, but they'll get you. Always, during the night, you'll simply disappear. Your name removed from the registers. Every record of you wiped out. You were abolished, annihilated, vaporized. They'll shoot me in the back. I don't care. Down with Big Brother. They always shoot you in the back of the neck. I don't care. Down with Big Brother.
Already? You sit still. Maybe they'll go away. The worst thing would be to delay. You get up and you move heavily toward the door.
Oh, comrade, do you think you could come across and have a look at our sink? It's stopped up.
I'll see what I can do, Mrs. Parsons.
I'm sorry to bother you. Of course, it's only because Tom isn't home.
Amid the clutter of the flat, you notice the banners of the Youth League and the spies on the wall, and a full-size poster of Big Brother.
Don't mind the looks of the place. It's the children. They haven't been out today.
Have you got a spanner?
A spanner? I don't know. Perhaps the children...
Put up your hand!
A tough-looking boy springs at you with a frightening toy automatic pistol. He is dressed in the uniform of the spies.
Go ahead, stick him up high.
Is this high enough?
You're a traitor. You're a thought criminal.
Freddie, please let Mr. Smith fix the sink.
He's a traitor and a thought criminal.
He and his sister are disappointed because they couldn't go to the park to see the hanging of the Eurasian war criminals.
Why can't we go? All the other children are going.
Take you next time.
Oh, that won't be for another month.
There, Mrs. Parsons. I think that does it.
Thank you, comrade. Say thank you, Freddie.
I will not. He's a traitor. He's a traitor. He's a follower of Goldstein.
You go to the window. Down in the street, the wind flaps a torn poster with the word Ingsoc. You stand watching it.
The three sacred principles of Ingsoc: newspeak, double think, the mutability of the past. What past? The past is dead. The future is unimaginable. I am alone, lost in a monstrous world. What living human creature is on my side? How do I know that the power of the party won't endure forever?
Like an answer, the three slogans on the white face of the Ministry of Truth come back to you.
War is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength.
The telescreen strikes. You have to leave in 10 minutes and be back at work at 14:30. You see the diary on the table.
Who am I writing it for? Only the thought police will read it before they wipe it out of existence and out of memory. But there are things I must say or I can't stay sane.
You go back to the table, dip your pen, and write.
To the future or to the past. To a time when thought is free, when men are different one from another and do not live alone. To a time when truth exists and what is done cannot be undone. From the age of uniformity, from the age of solitude, from the age of Big Brother, from the age of doublethink. Greetings. I am already dead, for I am committing thought crime, and thought crime is death.
Winston, you're just the man I'm looking for.
What can I do for you, Symes?
Tell me, have you got any razor blades?
Not one. I've been using the same one for 6 weeks.
Did you go and see the prisoners hanged yesterday?
I was working. I'll see it on the telly, I suppose.
A very inadequate substitute. It was a good hanging, Winston. I think it spoils it when they tie their feet together. Look, there's a table over there by the telescreen. Let's go and pick up a gin on the way.
Symes, how's that dictionary of Newspeak getting on?
Oh, slowly. I'm on the adjectives. It's fascinating.
Must be quite a job, inventing new words.
Oh, that's not what we're doing. We're destroying words. What's the sense in having a whole string of useless, vague words like excellent and splendid and all the rest? Plus good covers the meaning. Or better, double plus good if you want something stronger still. Don't you see the beauty of that, Winston? Of course, it was BB's idea originally.
Why, I know that, Symes. That's one of Big Brother's most revolutionary ideas.
Oh, and it's not just words. In the end, we shall make thought crime impossible, because there will be no words left with which to express it. Has it ever occurred to you, Winston, that by the year 2050 there won't be a single human alive who could even understand such a conversation as we're now having?
No, except the proletarians, of course.
Oh, the proletarians aren't human beings. Proles and animals are free. By 2050, the whole literature of the past will have been destroyed. Chaucer, Shakespeare, Milton, Byron. They'll exist only in Newspeak version.
Then they'll be changed into something different?
Oh, even the slogans of the party will change. How can you have a slogan like freedom is slavery when the concept of freedom has been abolished? The whole climate of thought will be different. In fact, there will be no thought as we understand it now.
Hello, hello, hello. Mind if I sit down?
Not at all, Parsons.
By the way, old boy, I hear that little beggar of mine gave you a rough time yesterday.
I think he was a little upset with not going to the execution.
Oh well, shows the right spirit, doesn't it? Oh, by the way, do you know what that little girl of mine did last Thursday when the troopers in the high car beckoned her away? She got 2 other girls to go with her and spent the whole afternoon chasing a strange man. And then, when they got to Amersham, handed him over to the patrol.
Well, what did they do that for?
Why, they made sure he was an enemy agent. Might have been dropped by parachute. Pretty smart for a nipper of 7, eh?
What happened to the man?
Well, I couldn't say, of course, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was now an unperson.
Oh, good. Of course, we can't afford to take chances.
What I mean to say is, there's a war on. I suppose you don't have any razor blades you could let me have?
Not one.
Sorry, just thought I'd ask you, old boy. Well, back to work, old boy.
You sit in your flat listening to the telescreen voice. The diary is open before you, but you're not writing. Once again, you feel that protest in your stomach and your skin, a feeling that you have been cheated of something that you had a right to. You try, but you can't remember anything different. You turn to writing in your diary.
How can I know what used to be? There is the party slogan, who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past. The party can thrust its hand in the past and say of this or that event it never happened. And this is more terrifying than mere torture and death. The party says reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It is the final, most essential command. Maybe I'm a lunatic. Perhaps a lunatic is simply a minority of one, but the obvious, the silly, the true has got to be defended. The solid world exists. Stones are hard, water is wet, objects unsupported fall to Earth's center. Freedom is the freedom to say that 2 + 2 makes 4. If that is granted, all else follows.
Dangerous thing you're doing now. You walk for several miles through the proletarian section, where the thought police would have many questions to ask if they found you. Now you find yourself inside the junk stall where you had bought the diary.
I recognize you on the pavement. You're the gentleman that bought the keepsake album.
I was just passing. I just looked in. I don't want anything in particular, Mr. Charrington.
Just as well, because I don't suppose I could have satisfied you. Between me and you, the antique trade is just about finished. Now, there's another room upstairs you might care to see.
Oh, you lived here at one time?
Until my wife died. Now, don't you think this is a quiet, cozy room?
There's no telescreen.
I never had one of those things. Now, if you happen to be interested in old prints, they're here, sir. The frames are fixed to the wall, but I could unscrew it for you, I dare say.
I know that building, Mr. Charrington. It's a ruin now. It's in the middle of the street outside the Palace of Justice.
That's right, sir. It was a church at one time. St. Clement's Dane it was. Oranges and lemons, say the bells of St. Clement's.
What's that?
Oh, it's just a rhyme we had when I was a boy, a full 60 years ago.
How does it go on?
I don't remember, but I do know how it ended up. Here comes a candle to light you to bed. Here comes a chopper to chop off your head. It was a kind of dance. And when they came to, there comes a chopper to chop off your head, they brought their arms down and caught you. Now, it was just the names of churches. All the London churches were in it. All the principal ones, that is.
I never knew it had been a church.
Oh, there's lots of them left, really. Though they've been put to other uses. Now, how did the rhyme go? I've got it. You owe me 3 farthings, say the bells of St. Martin's. There now, that's as far as I can get. A farthing, that was a small copper coin, looked something like a cent.
Where was St. Martin's?
Well, that's still standing in Victory Square. It's the building where they have the models of the rocket bombs and the floating fortresses and the pictures of the enemy atrocities. St. Martin's in the Field, it used to be called.
You leave, Mr. Charrington. Indeed, you should never have come back here without knowing if the old man could be trusted. You start down the street. You'll come back to buy the engraving of St. Clement's and carry it home hidden under the jacket of your overalls, and you'll even drag the rest of the poem out of Mr. Charrington's memory.
Oranges and lemons, say the bells of St. Clement's, you owe me 3 farthings.
Suddenly your heart turns to ice. A figure in blue overalls is coming toward you, a dark-haired girl in her 20s. The narrow scarlet sash of the Junior Anti-Sex League is wound round her waist. You know her, but you've never spoken to her. She looks straight into your face and walks on quickly, as though she hadn't seen you. For a few seconds, you're too paralyzed to move. Then you turn and walk heavily away.
It's at night they come for you. Always at night. The proper thing is to kill yourself before they get you. Oh, and they'll get you. Once you succumb to thought crime, you're dead.
It's the middle of the morning. You've left the work cubicle to go to the lavatory. A solitary figure comes toward you from the other end of the long, brightly lit corridor. It's the girl with the dark hair. 4 days ago, you ran into her outside the junk shop. She's about 10 feet from you.
Ow!
Oh, are you hurt?
Nothing. My arm. I'll be all right.
You haven't broken anything?
No, I'm all right. It just hurt for a moment, that's all.
Here, let me help you up.
Thanks. I'll be all right. I only gave my wrist a bit of a bend. Thanks, comrade.
She walks off briskly. While you were helping her up, she slipped something into your hand. A scrap of paper folded into a square. You will open it when you're away from the telescreen in the corridor and in the lavatory.
Whatever is on the paper, it must have some kind of political meaning. She's an agent of the thought police. They have reasons for the message, maybe a threat, a summons in order to commit suicide, a trap. Maybe not that at all. Maybe a note from an underground organization. Perhaps the Brotherhood exists after all. No. The message means only one thing. Death.
10 minutes later, in your cubicle, you open it. In a large, unformed handwriting.
I love you.
It's hard to conceal your agitation from the telescreen.
I've got to get in touch with her. Arrange a meeting somewhere. But I don't know her name or where she lives. I can't follow her home. That would mean loitering outside the ministry. Bound to be noticed. There's one place. The canteen. At a table by herself. Not too near the telescreen. With the chatter of conversation all around. For only 30 seconds. For only a few words.
A week goes by, but at last it happens. You both sit eating a watery stew. You continue eating, you don't look up.
What time do you leave work?
18:30.
Where can we meet?
Victory Square near the monument.
Full of telescreens.
Doesn't matter if there's a crowd.
Any signal?
No. Don't come up until you see me among a lot of people. And don't look at me. Stand somewhere near me.
What time?
19 hour.
All right.
Get out of the way. I want to see the Eurasian war prisoners.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm taking the afternoon off. Take a taxi, go to Paddington Station. Take train 14 to Penn Church. Turn left outside the station and you'll come to a gate with a top bar missing. Go across that field to a track between bushes. Stay on that until you come to a dead tree with moss on it. Can you remember that?
Yes.
Turn left, then right, then left again, and a fence with no top bar.
What time?
5:15. And you'll have to wait. I'll get there by another way. Are you sure you'll remember it?
Yes.
Then get away from me as quick as you can. Here we are. I didn't want to say anything in the lane in case there was a mic hidden there. We're all right here now.
I didn't meet any patrols. I watched for them all day from the station.
We're safe here. What are you grinning at?
Would you believe it? Till this moment, I didn't know the color of your eyes. Now that you've seen what I'm really like, do you still dare to look at me?
Oh, yes, easily.
I'm 39 years old. I've got a wife I can't get rid of. I've got varicose veins, and I've got 5 false teeth.
I couldn't care less.
Oh, darling.
Darling. Oh, my dearest, dearest love. We've got the whole afternoon. Isn't this a splendid hideout?
What's your name?
Julia. And I know yours. It's Winston Smith.
How'd you find that out?
Well, I guess I'm better at finding things out than you are, dear. Tell me, what did you think of me before that day I gave you the note?
I hated the sight of you. I hated the sight of you. I wanted to hurt you, murder you. If you really want to know, I imagined you had something to do with the thought police.
No, not the thought police.
Well, perhaps not exactly that, but from your general appearance, well, merely because you're young and fresh and healthy, I thought that probably...
You thought I was a good party member, and you also thought that if I had quarter of a chance, I'd denounce you as a thought criminal and get you killed off.
Yes, something like that. A great many young girls are like that, you know.
It's this bloody sash that does it. Wait, I'll rip this thing off. There. Have a piece of chocolate.
Where did you get this?
Black market.
You're very young. 10 years younger than I am. Well, what could attract you to a man like me?
As soon as I saw you, I knew you were against them. Against the party. Against the bloody rotten swine in the inner party.
Julia, listen. I'm against the purity that the party preaches and the goodness. I don't want any of their virtue to exist anywhere. I want everyone to be corrupt to the bone.
Well then, I ought to suit you, dear. I'm corrupt. To the very bone.
You'll never go back to the clearing in the wood. You and Julia can meet only in the streets, in a different place every evening, and never for more than a half hour at a time. You don't even discuss the possibility of getting married. No committee would sanction it, even if Catherine could somehow be gotten rid of. It's hopeless, even as a daydream.
What was she like, your wife?
She was... you know the newspeak word, good thinkful? Meaning naturally orthodox and incapable of thinking bad thoughts?
I know the kind of person your wife was. Everything was always our duty to the party.
How do you know that?
I've been in school, tuned in. Why didn't you shove her off a cliff? I would have.
Perhaps I wouldn't have been the same person I am now.
Well, I'm sorry you didn't.
Yes, on the whole, I'm sorry I didn't. But it doesn't really matter. In this game we're playing, we can't win. We are the dead.
We're not dead yet.
Not physically. 6 months or a year, 5 years conceivably. I'm afraid of death. You're young, so you're more afraid of it. We put it off as long as we can, but it makes very little difference.
No, rubbish. Don't you want to enjoy life? Look, darling, I'll help you. I'm solid, alive. Don't you like that?
Yes, I like that.
We'll stop talking about dying then. Where should we meet another time?
Julia, I've rented the room from Mr. Charrington.
Sooner or later we'll be caught.
I know. It's madness.
Yes. Wait for me there the day after tomorrow. Wait. Just let me show you what I've brought. Open it. Go on, open it.
Sugar!
Real, not saccharine. And here, a loaf of white bread. But look, this is the one I'm really proud of.
Coffee! Real coffee!
There's a whole kilo here.
How did you manage to get a hold of these things?
No, it's all inner party stuff. And then look, I've got a little packet of tea, too.
Oh, real tea, not blackberry leaves.
There's a lot of tea about. It's captured in India or something. But listen, dear, I want you to turn your back on me for a bit, and don't turn around until I tell you. You can turn around now. Well?
Beautiful. I've never seen a woman of the party with cosmetics on her face and... oh, scent, too.
Yes, dear, and scent, too. And you know what I'm gonna do next? I'm gonna get a hold of a real woman's frock and silk stockings and high heels and, oh, darling, in this room I'm gonna be a woman, not a party comrade. A woman. I'll make some coffee in another moment. We've still got an hour. What time did they cut the lights off at your flat?
23:30?
23 at the hospital. Hey! Get out of here, you filthy brute!
What was it?
A rat. Oh, there's a hole down there.
Rats? In this room?
Oh, they're all over. Some parts of London are just swarming with them. A woman daren't leave a building alone for 2 minutes. And it's the great, huge brown ones that do it. And the brutes are always...
Don't go on!
Darling, what's the matter?
Of all the horrors in the world, a rat?
Oh, no, darling. No. Now, don't worry. We're not going to have the filthy brutes in here. I'll stuff the hole before we go. Oh, come on. Help me make the coffee. Darling, I've been meaning to ask you, that picture over there on the wall, would that be about 100 years old?
Well, more. 200, I dare say. I can't tell. It's impossible to tell the age of anything nowadays.
Well, what is that place? I've seen it before somewhere.
It's a church. Or at least it used to be. St. Clement's Dane, its name was. Oranges and lemons, say the bells of St. Clement's.
You owe me 3 farthings, say the bells of St. Martin's. Oh, well, I can't remember how it goes after that. But anyway, I remember it ends up, here comes a candle to light you to bed. Here comes a chopper to chop off your head.
Who taught you that?
My grandfather. He was vaporized when I was 8. I wonder what a lemon was.
Oh, I remember lemons. They were quite common in the 50s. They were so sour they would set your teeth on edge even to smell them.
Oh, dear, I suppose it is time we were leaving. I should start washing this paint off, and I'll get the lipstick off your face afterwards.
It happens at last. The expected message comes. You're walking down a long corridor of the ministry. You turn around. It's O'Brien.
I was reading one of your Newspeak articles the other day. You take a scholarly interest in Newspeak, I believe.
Hardly scholarly. I'm only an amateur. I never had anything to do with the construction of the language.
Ah, but you write it very elegantly. Have you seen the 10th edition of the Newspeak Dictionary?
No, I didn't think it would be released yet.
A few advanced copies have been circulated. I have one myself. It might interest you to look at it, perhaps. Yes, very much so. Some of the new developments are most ingenious. Let me see. Perhaps you could pick it up at my flat sometime that suits you. Wait, let me give you my address.
Julia, darling, it was like a message. As if O'Brien was saying, if you ever want to see me, this is where I can be found.
But he's an important member of the inner party. Dear, if it's a trap, there's...
Darling, this is part of something that happened years ago. First, it was a secret involuntary thought. Then I started a diary. I've moved from thoughts to words, and now from words to action.
Where will it end?
In the ministry of love. I've accepted that. The end was contained in the beginning. Has it ever occurred to you that the best thing for us to do would be to simply walk out of here before it's too late and never see each other again?
Yes, dear. It's occurred to me several times, but I'm not going to do it all the same.
We've been lucky. It can't last much longer.
What you do, I'm going to do.
We may be together for another 6 months, a year. There's no knowing. At the end, we're certain to be apart. Do you realize how utterly alone we would be? When once they get a hold of us, there's nothing either of us can do for the other. If I confess, they'll shoot you. If I don't, they'll shoot you just the same. Neither of us will even know whether the other is alive or dead. The one thing that matters is that we shouldn't betray one another. Although even that can't make the slightest bit of difference.
Everybody always confesses. You can't help it. They torture you.
I don't mean confessing. Confession is not betrayal, or what you say or do doesn't matter. Only feelings matter. If they could make me stop loving you, that would be the real betrayal.
They can't do that. They can make us say anything, but they can't make you believe it. They can't get inside of you.
No, that's quite true. They can't get inside of you. If you can feel that staying human is worthwhile, even when it can't have any result whatever, then we'll have beaten them.
Darling, whenever it is you go to O'Brien, I'm going with you.
Just a moment.
You can turn it off.
Yes, Winston. We have that privilege. Well, shall I say it or will you?
I'll say it. That thing is really turned off?
Yes, everything is turned off. We're alone.
All right. We have come here because we believe that there is some kind of secret conspiracy, some kind of secret organization working against the party, and that you are involved in it. We want to join it and work for it. We are enemies of the party. We disbelieve in the principles of Ingsoc. We are thought criminals. We are also adulterers. I tell you this because we want to put ourselves at your mercy.
Yes, first. Well, let's all take a drink. I think it's fitting that we shall begin by drinking to our health. To our leader, to Emmanuel Goldstein.
Then, there is such a person as Goldstein?
Yes, and he's alive. Where? I don't know.
And the conspiracy, the organization, it is real? It's not simply an invention of the thought police?
No, it's real. The Brotherhood, we call it. You'll never know much more about it than that it exists, and that you belong to it. I'll come back to that presently. For now, what are you prepared to do?
Anything we're capable of.
You are prepared to give your lives?
Yes.
To commit murder?
Yes.
To commit acts of sabotage, which may cost the deaths of hundreds of innocent people?
Yes.
To cheat, to forge, to blackmail, to corrupt the minds of children, to distribute habit-forming drugs, to do anything which is likely to weaken the power of the party.
Yes.
You are prepared to commit suicide if and when we order it.
Yes.
You are prepared, the two of you, to separate and never see one another again.
No.
No.
You did well to tell me. You understand that you'd be fighting in the dark. Later, I shall send you a book from which you will learn the true nature of the society we live in, and the strategy by which we shall destroy it. But I cannot tell you who our leaders are. You will get used to living without results, without hope. We are the dead. Our only true life is the future. Do you carry a briefcase to work?
As a rule, yes.
What's it like?
Oh, black, very shabby, 2 stripes.
Good. One day soon, in the street, a man will touch you on the arm and say, "I think you dropped your briefcase." The one he gives you will contain a copy of Goldstein's book. You will return it within 14 days. Now, you must leave in a couple of minutes. We shall meet again, if we do meet again.
In the place where there is no darkness?
In the place where there is no darkness. In the meantime, is there anything you wish to say before you leave? Any questions?
Yes. Did you ever hear an old rhyme that begins, "Oranges and lemons say the bells of St. Clements"?
Yes, Winston. Oranges and lemons, say the bells of St. Clemens. You owe me 3 farthings, say the bells of St. Martin's. When will you pay me, say the bells of Old Bailey? When I get rich, say the bells of Shoreditch.
You knew the last line.
Yes, Winston. I knew the last line. And now I'm afraid it's time for you to go.
Julia, I've got the book. We must read it, you too. All the members of the Brotherhood have to read it.
You read it aloud, that's the best way. And then you can explain it to me as you go.
The new movements, which appeared in the middle years of the century in Oceania, the prevailing philosophy called Ingsoc, and in Eurasia, Neo-Bolshevism, and in East Asia, death worship, had the conscious aim of perpetuating unfreedom and inequality. A new movement grew out of the old one, and therefore many and loyalty. Even the names of the 4 ministers exhibit an impudence in their deliberate reversal of the facts. The Ministry of Peace concerns itself with war, the Ministry of Truth with lies, the Ministry of Love with torture, the Ministry of Plenty with starvation. These contradictions are not accidental. They are deliberate exercises in doublethink, for it is only reconcilable.
Oh, I'm hungry. Oh, darling, the stove's gone out. There's no oil.
We can get some from Old Charrington, I expect.
Gosh, it's cold in here.
Do you remember the thrush that sang for us that first day at the edge of the wood?
He wasn't singing to us. He was just singing.
No, not to us. We are the dead.
We are the dead.
You are the dead. You are the dead.
It's behind the picture.
It was behind the picture. Remain exactly where you are. Make no move until you are ordered.
Now they can see us.
Now we can see you. Stand out in the middle of the room. Stand back to back. Clasp your hands behind your head. Do not touch one another. The house is surrounded.
I suppose we might as well say goodbye.
You might as well say goodbye. And while we're on the subject, there comes a candle to light you to bed. Here comes the chopper to chop off your head.
You don't know where you are. A windowless cell with white porcelain walls might be in the Ministry of Love. Concealed lamps flooded with a cold light. And there is a low, steady humming sound. It is the place where there is no darkness.
Smith, 6079. Smith W. Hands out of the pockets in the cell.
There's a telescreen on each wall. You'd started to reach into your overalls for stray breadcrumbs. You haven't eaten since you were arrested.
Symes?
Yes, Winston.
You too? What are you in for?
There is only one offense, is there not?
Crime thought. And you have committed it?
Apparently. We were producing a definitive history of Kipling, and I allowed the word God to remain at the end of a line. I couldn't help it. The rhyme was rod. There are only 12 rhymes in the ordinary language. There was no other rhyme.
Do you know what time it is?
No, I don't. There's no difference between night and day in this place.
No talking in the cells. Symes, room 101.
Time passes. Your hunger grows. Prisoners, men and women, are brought into your cell and taken out to room 101. Then the cell door opens once again. O'Brien and the guard come in. You start to your feet. You forget the telescreen.
They got you too?
They got me a long time ago. You knew this, Winston. You've always known it. Guard!
Ah!
With that blow, the nightmare starts, and you confess to anything and everything. The confessions are a formality. The tortures are real. And it goes on, and on, and on, and on. Now you are lying strapped to a table. You can't move. There's a strong light falling on your face. O'Brien is standing at your side. On the other side, a man in a white coat is holding a hypodermic syringe.
I told you that we would meet here again.
Yes, but I don't understand.
That's only a sample of what I can do by turning on this dial.
Ah!
Remember that. If you lie to me, you will cry out in pain instantly. Do you understand that?
Yes.
I'm taking trouble with you, Winston, because you are worth trouble. You suffer from a defective memory. Fortunately, it is curable. There's a party slogan dealing with the control of the past. Repeat it if you please.
Who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past.
Good. Is it your opinion, Winston, that the past has any real existence?
No.
Then where does the past exist, if at all?
In the records. It's written down. In the mind. In human memory.
But we, the party, control all records, and we control all memory. Then we control the past, do we not?
But how can you stop people remembering things? How can you control memory? You've not controlled mine.
On the contrary, you have not controlled it. That is what has brought you here. Do you remember writing in your diary, freedom is the freedom to say that 2 + 2 make 4?
Yes?
How many fingers am I holding up, Winston?
4.
And if the party says that it is not 4, but 5, then how many?
4.
How many fingers, Winston?
4.
How many fingers, Winston?
4. What else can I say? 4.
How many fingers, Winston?
4. Stop it! Stop it! 4.
How many fingers, Winston?
5.
You're lying. You still think there are 4. How many, please?
4. 5. Anything you like, stop it! Stop the pain! Stop! Oh, no!
You're a slow learner, Winston.
How can I help it? How can I help seeing what's right in front of my eyes? 2 and 2 are 4.
Sometimes, Winston. Sometimes there are 5, or 3, or all of them at once. You must try harder. It's not easy to become sane. It's not easy.
Goes on endlessly. The questions. The drugs. The questions. The torture machines endlessly. Then...
Do you know where you are, Winston?
I don't know. I can guess. In the Ministry of Love?
Do you know how long you've been here?
I don't know. I think it's been months.
And why do you imagine we bring people to this place?
To make them confess?
No, that's not the reason. Try again.
To punish them?
No! To cure you. To make you sane. The party is not interested in the overt act. The thought is all we care about. We do not merely destroy our enemies. We change them. What happens to you here is forever. Even if we choose to let you live out your natural term of life, you can never escape from us. Holden, set the machine for 2,000.
Yes, comrade.
This time it won't hurt you, Winston. Keep your eyes fixed on mine. Now, how many fingers am I holding?
5.
Do you see 5?
Yes.
You see, now, that it is at any rate possible?
Yes.
Before bringing this session to an end, you can ask me a few questions if you choose. The machine is switched off. What is your first question?
What have you done with Julia?
She betrayed you, Winston. All her rebelliousness, her deceit, her folly, her dirty mindedness, everything was burned out of her. It was a perfect conversion.
You tortured her?
Next question.
Does Big Brother exist?
Of course he exists. The party exists. Big Brother is the embodiment of the party.
Will Big Brother ever die?
Of course not. How could he die? Next question.
What is in room 101?
You know that, Winston. Everyone knows what's in room 101. Holden, the hypodermic. We have beaten you, Winston. We have broken you. Can you think of any single degradation that has not happened to you?
I have not betrayed Julia.
No, that's perfectly true. You have not betrayed Julia.
Tell me, how soon will they shoot me?
It may be a long time. You're a difficult case. But don't give up hope. Everyone is cured, sooner or later. In the end, we will shoot you.
You're much better now. Weeks or months have passed, but you have no way of knowing. And one day O'Brien is in your cell, with him are the guards.
Get up, Winston. Come here. You've had thoughts of deceiving me. Stand up. Straighter. Look at me in the face. Tell me, Winston, and remember no lies. Tell me, what are your true feelings toward Big Brother?
I hate him.
You hate him, good. Then the time has come for you to take the last step. You must love Big Brother. It is not enough to obey him. You must love him. Guard, take him. Room 101.
You're strapped, upright in a chair so tightly that you can move nothing, not even your head. There are 2 small tables in front of you, and for a moment you are alone. O'Brien comes in.
Winston, you asked me once what was in room 101. Everyone knows that answer. The thing that is in room 101 is the worst thing in the world. The worst thing in the world varies from individual to individual. It may be death by fire, by drowning, by impalement, or 50 other deaths. In your case, it happens to be rats. Here, I've placed the cage on the table so you can see them.
No! No, you can't do that! You couldn't! It's impossible! O'Brien, you know this isn't necessary! What do you want me to do?
For everyone, there is something unendurable. Courage and cowardice are not involved. For you, the unendurable is rats. They are a form of pressure you cannot withstand. You will do what is required of you.
What is it? What is it? How can I do it when I don't know what? Don't get them any closer!
The only thing they understand is their conception of this cage. This mask will fit over your head, leaving no other exit. When I press this lever, these starving brutes will leap at your face. Sometimes they attack the eyes.
No! Don't let them! No! Don't let them! Do it to Julia! Do it to Julia, not to me! Not to me! Do it to Julia! Julia! Do it to Julia! Do it to Julia! Julia!
It's the lonely hour of 15. Cafe's almost empty. You'll sit at your usual place, drinking victory gin, studying the chess problems and the times. Nobody pays any attention to you. Or you'll even see Julia again. Now there's no danger in it. Once on a cold, biting March day, you'll come across her in the park.
I've betrayed you.
I've betrayed you.
Sometimes they threaten you with something you can't even think about, and then you don't care. You want it to happen to the other person, and all you care about is yourself.
All you care about is yourself.
You don't feel a thing toward the other person any longer.
No, you don't feel the same. What happens to you there is forever. Something is burned out. We must meet again.
Yes, we must meet again.
Now, with the dust on the cafe table, your finger traces unconsciously 2 + 2 = 5. And on the wall, Big Brother gazes down at you from a poster. You gaze up at the enormous face. 40 years it has taken you to learn what kind of smile is hidden beneath the dark mustache. Oh, cruel, needless misunderstanding. Oh, stubborn, self-willed exile and the loving breast. 2 gems of tears trickle down from the sides of your nose. It's all right. Everything is all right. The struggle is finished. You've won the victory over yourself.
I love you, Big Brother.
You've been listening to 1984, the Great Plains Radio Theater production of the novel by George Orwell and adapted for radio by Milton Wayne. Our cast included Art Moss as the narrator. The part of Winston Smith was played by Paul Guggenheimer, who also directed the program. The part of Julia was played by Lindsay Washburn, with Chris Gall as O'Brien, Lenny Copel as Mr. Charrington, Eric Newhouse as Symes, Nolly Vereen as Mr. Parsons, Benjamin Vipond as Freddie Parsons, Kathy Fouch as Mrs. Parson, Chad Gall as the guard and Holden, with additional voices and acoustical sound effects by Ralph Swain. Dave Solberg is at the Mighty Wurlitzer tonight, and our sound effects technician is Brian Ross. My name is Tom Jones. Thank you very much for listening.